I want to make at least 2 more Dexter videos, one where I review the whole season of Resurrection, just to kind of chart how for me the show starts off really promising and then devolves into a rushed mess. And another video where I rewrite the show and effectively take the ideas presented in the first season and give them the breathing room that would allow them to flourish in a series that's going to be at least 2 to 3 seasons long. Now, on my "Why are there so many bad Dexter channels" video, most of the comments were split between people who agreed with what I was saying and those that disagreed in a nebulous way. They either attack me personally or they just claim the 2 channels I mentioned are good because they say so. But one comment stood out more than the others, not because it was some well-crafted rebuttal of anything I said, but moreover because of how nuts it was. Dexter aficionado Gil Perdo writes, "Your videos are nothing but toxic, grumpy, old man moaning videos." This is a pattern I've noticed with many of these different series, specifically the ones that have been around for over 10 years. The first Dexter novel was released in 2004 when I was in kindergarten. The TV show came out 19 years ago and ended 11 years ago. This means that anyone who could have seen it when it was airing would have to be, if not adult-aged, then pretty close, and I highly doubt most of us were watching a show with profanity and nudity at 3 and 4 years old. I don't see how it makes any sense to mock someone over their age when the very piece of work that you're both fans of is almost as old or older than them. You're old. Well, hell, the series that you spend all day watching videos about is old. Dexter is older than the iPhone. It's older than The Dark Knight. It's older than my little brother. And there's nothing wrong with the show being almost 20 years old, but it's wild to be a fan of a show that started airing when I was a kid and then get told that, I'm suddenly too old to watch the newest incarnation. He continues, "Like calling Deb's death dumb and stupid when it was actually a very well done, since she died because Dexter operates outside of the law and she was clearly in a situation Dexter had no proper understanding of. Deb should have had backup." So if he actually bothered to watch my video on Deb, I commented that I believed her death was pointless because it came at the end of the show, which meant there was no time to explore the fallout of it. The messaging of killing off a protagonist in the series finale while the serial killers get to live on in Argentina and Oregon was off to me, and it retroactively worsened the show because she survived getting shot and threatened by a serial killer just to get shot and killed by a serial killer. Like, if he wants to claim it was well done, he still is only addressing a portion of all the reasons that I gave for why it was bad. The Batista comment is so funny because if he actually bothered to watch my video, he would know it was entirely about Batista's role in the original series. Now, I felt they could have played more with him being Dexter's best friend, and during that video, I stated my intent to discuss his characterization in New Blood and Resurrection during my review of the full season of Resurrection. So just understand, where he writes about Batista not being a super cop, he is literally responding to an argument I never made. How's Randy Orton's theme song go again? "I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me." "And now you are attacking people for making videos, making them out to be clickbait, even though I'm sure you don't spend 20 minutes listening to it all. They are just making content, and if they don't make sense or are clickbaiting, it is what it is." If he actually bothered to watch my video on those bad Dexter channels, my main complaints were the abundance of AI content and theory videos that made little to no sense, to where even their own audience has called them out for such irrational postings. If he wants to accuse me of not spending 20 minutes listening to these videos, I could say he did the same thing with mine, as with the Batista comment, he literally countered a point that I didn't even make. Well, if they're just making content and it is what it is, couldn't the same thing be said for me? Like, if we're not allowed to criticize anyone who's just making content, then what gives him the right to leave this comment to me? Now, he writes another comment where he tells me to go after George Drake, and then he'll subscribe. I didn't even know who that was, so he's doing free advertising for a channel he doesn't like, but then he's also claiming he'll subscribe to me, another channel that he doesn't like. But really, the central point here is that he's another one of these fans that dismiss any criticism with these vague buzzwords, "you are moaning." This is hilarious because why does Dexter Resurrection exist? because fans looked at the ending of New Blood and collectively complained, or I guess as he would call it, moaned, until they decided to make a second attempt at fixing a crap ending. Why does Dexter New Blood exist? Because fans looked at the ending of the original series and collectively complained, or I guess as he would call it, moaned, until they decided to make an attempt at fixing the crap ending. The point I'm making is that Dexter is a show that ended in 2013, and these sequel series were born out of fans being disillusioned with what came before. And now when someone looks at the sequel show and says this is not good, it's suddenly a bad thing. I really want someone to explain to me in the comment section, why do I need to be ashamed of my age, and what can I do to become younger? Which Dexter fan has found a way to access the Lazarus Pit?